the grapes. Check this out.
Hello, and welcome back to Youth Group Reunion Tour, the podcast that unpacks the Christian cultural touchstones that you grew up with in the 90s and in the 2000s. I'm your host. My name is Jared.
And this is your other host, Mikey B.
And we are very excited today. We have our first returning guest, a fan favorite. We'll cut straight to the chase. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Leann is here.
That's
Mike's
right.
lovely wife.
No more last names, Leann. I had to edit like 10 hours last time.
I literally caught myself just about to say our last name.
I knew it. I had to remind
Because I
her.
know how up in a
This
tizzy
is a struggle.
you get over
This
it.
is a struggle for me the entire time we do the podcast with anyone. Because I never realized how many people I called exclusively by their last names.
Yeah, well, you know what? When you go to a youth group that has a lot of people in it, you need to keep track of them.
Yeah.
So that actually brings up a good point. One of our first mailbag items that's from someone we don't know.
Yes, we got
just
an email
dropped.
mere hours before recording this episode.
Very exciting.
We're very excited about it. We're going to read it now. We are, like I said, if you send us an email, we'll read it. We're happy to get them. We won't say your last name. We won't share your email address. But we will say your first name so you can get excited to get name dropped.
Yes, this is from Rochelle.
Rochelle.
Rochelle. I'm also not using her last name on here due to, you know what? If you send us in the mailbag, we're not going to put you on blast with like all of your friends and family to know.
Unless you explicitly say in the email, please read my full name or whatever it is.
Right.
But so we got an email from Rochelle. Mike, go ahead and read it to us.
Okay. This is from Rochelle D. Subject, hey, this is awesome. Rochelle says, this is a real this is a tongue twister. I really whiffed on that one. Yeah. I miss youth rallies so much. My son is 9 and he's going to camp this summer. I'm so excited because camp was also so much fun. Thank you for making this subreddit.
So this brings up a great topic of, Christian summer camps. I worked at a camp for many years. We're definitely going to do an episode about camps at some point. But glad to know that we've some people that we don't personally know have listened to this and found it interesting. And she also shouted out the subreddit that I started. We've got like tens of users.
Yeah, you know what? I feel bad for making fun of your subreddit.
Yeah, you mocked it the other day.
No engagement, but I guess I was wrong.
Hey.
You never know who's going to see it. You never know who's going to plant the seed.
Yeah. So anyway, we are very excited. We're going to try and get right into the episode here because we know that some of our other ones have gone long. Today we are talking about a movie that is not explicitly Christian, but definitely has Christian, themes throughout. So this movie is called A Walk to Remember.
Part of Movie March.
Yes. So Movie March, we've been recording Christian movies, and we're excited to get them out here in the month of March. We had so many recorded or in the can. We were like, let's just do a whole theme month.
That's right. But arguably, this is the one that I would say out of any movie that we've watched up until this point, and so far we've done 3 movies.
Yes.
This
we've
is
done
our third.
Extreme Days, Apocalypse 3, I think, and then now A Walk to Remember.
Okay. So this is definitely...
They're also probably being released out of order, but
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What I was going to say is this was definitely the production value. And
this was a real Hollywood movie.
Right.
Where the other ones were kind of like, I don't know if you would say like they're indie, but they were definitely low budget.
I don't want to use the word cult classic because of the connotations
also,
there.
don't know that they're classic.
Arguable.
Maybe to us, but
maybe to me.
To the world at
maybe
large.
to just me.
To the world at large, though, yeah.
Very true. Anyways, this was a serious movie, and up until 2 days ago, I had never seen this movie in my life. I dodged this one.
I watched this movie for the first time when I was, I think, 23 or 22. I watched it alone at my brother's house. I don't remember why, but I was just like, I'm going to watch A Walk to Remember. I watched it alone, and I cried.
Wow, a sad
cried
emo
alone.
Movie. And
that's the way to do it.
And so Leann, out of everyone as our expert witness, has seen this how many times, Leann?
I'm going to go ahead and guess that I've seen it 8 to 10 times.
What impressive.
Yep.
Now,
I was obsessed.
When was the first time you think that you saw it? Give a rough grade.
I was probably 13 or 14.
Okay, wow.
So
okay,
a
so
young
this movie came out in 2002.
youngster.
So this would you probably saw it 1 or 2 years after it came out. Then sounds like
I would say.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I got it on DVD. Yeah, rented it.
Did you? Did you watch it in your?
Or did you own it?
Oh, I think we actually bought.
Oh,
VHS.
okay. Yeah. Wow.
What was it called? VHS?
VHS. Oh no!
I was like,
so old,
what
I don't even remember what it's called.
What is
anymore.
that thing? The little tape you have to rewind. I don't know what that
Beta
is.
back.
Back
Yeah.
then we bought the tapes. Yeah, we waited for it to come out.
That's
Was
legit.
this something that you watched with your big sister? Was this like a
Oh,
thing
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did she introduce you to it, or was this like you like how did you find out about it? Was
Well,
it just like everyone talked about
My
it?
sister was definitely the one to keep me up to speed with what was cool, who all the actors were, singers, all that. And Mandy Moore was huge at this time. And, me and Lindy watched all the chick flicks together. That was our thing. And yeah, she definitely got me into this movie.
So a big influence on you. Now,
Absolutely.
one of the things that before we get into breaking down the plot and discussing it, we're looking through some reviews before we were like prepping for this. Almost like I was just skimming through looking for them. There were a ton of mentions of this dude, Sean West, right, who's like the main.
I think Shane West.
Shane West. I don't even know his name. Shane West. You're right. And
I think it was his first movie.
And they were like Shane West is so hot. He's so hot. I guess there was like a bunch of teenage girls reviewing this on IMDb in the early 2000s, and they were just like could not get over this guy.
They put pictures of him as their AIM profile picture.
He was like the classic bad boy.
So I want to know when you watch this as like a 12-year-old, was this dude hot?
No,
he's not your
I
type.
remember never being attracted to him when I was 13, and even more so now when I rewatched it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my
Not your type.
gosh.
That's good news for me because we'll get into this later. But he's kind of scowly, and I'm not really a scowly type of individual.
It wasn't the scowl for me. It was like the messed up teeth.
Oh wow.
Brutal.
All right. So, Mike, did you have anything else for us before we start walking through this plot?
No, so I just wanted to clarify why we qualify this as a youth group film.
Yeah.
So it's technically not by a Christian studio. However, Mandy Moore's a Christian, right?
I don't know. Sure.
Is she?
I thought she was.
Let's bring up
well,
the
switch. Well,
I don't think she is a
while I look it up on
public
Wikipedia.
Christian.
So okay. So what I recall is that she was a Christian and Switchfoot was her favorite band, and she actually pushed really hard for Switchfoot to be a huge part of this movie, which they are, and which we'll get into. But I believe that she's got to be a Christian.
She started off as just a pop singer.
Yeah, but she kind of
She
cultivated
didn't really
that
write any of
wholesome
her own
image.
music, I don't think.
Am I fact checked wrong on that? I just thought she was
I'm looking through a Wikipedia page now. I'm not seeing anything
Like,
that
just
explicitly
because someone
says that.
sings Christian songs doesn't make them a Christian.
Okay, I just assumed because of the Switchfoot connection.
yeah.
At the time, this was before. If you knew who Switchfoot was, you kind of had some connection to church, arguably.
Yeah, what I'll say is, just because I couldn't find it doesn't mean it's not true. I spent 30 seconds looking on a Wikipedia page.
Okay.
So,
Mandy Moore, come clear your name on the podcast.
but what we will say is like this movie definitely has Christian themes in it. It's based on a Nicholas Sparks book.
Who
Nicholas
wrote The Notebook?
Wrote The Notebook, yeah. And so I definitely had heard people talk about this as if it were a Christian movie, just because of like the Christian themes that were in it were, so strong, I guess, that it was like, even though it wasn't officially a Christian film, it was like viewed that way by a lot of people in youth group or, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of themes that I think make a Christian, but I think what officially makes a Christian is the explicit part of faith as a plot device. And the soundtrack, right? But honestly, those two things kind of make it there, right?
yeah.
It's not a quite like Fireproof level where there's this big conversion and he's on his knees, but it's more subtle and I think tactful.
Yeah.
So let's get into the plot of the movie here. So let's kind of start off with how it begins, how the scenery unfolds here.
So the movie starts off, there's some teens drinking in like a quarry or like an industrial park or something, and they're there's a kid getting ready to like show up that they're going to haze. This kid shows up. The kid they're hazing looks cooler than all of the kids that are supposed to be.
Absolutely.
I looked at him, I was like,
and all of his teeth are
"He-"
perfectly in place.
Yeah, I was like,
Clearly had braces.
I was like, this dude is cooler than the rest of this group. Why is he the uncool kid?
He actually said something like that in the later part, didn't he? He's like, I don't even know why I want to be friends with him.
Yeah, he literally
It's like,
said that.
yeah, I'm sorry. You guys should be jumping in the water for me.
Yeah. So basically, the way they're gonna haze him, like you got to go up to this thing and jump into the water off this thing, and the main guy, what is his name? Is it Landon in the movie? Okay, Landon Shane West. He's
Landon Cotta.
He's like, I'm gonna go with you. He's like, we're gonna do it together. So they go up there. He counts him down. He fakes him out. The guy jumps in. They all laugh at him, and then they're like, wait a minute, why isn't he coming up? He hit a pipe in the water.
That's what happened.
Yeah, that's.
I wondered why he was all bloody and like broken bones and stuff.
It's not especially clear. One of the people as they're running away sees something like he hit a pipe or something like that's.
I never
that's how
got
that's how I knew. Neither did I. I thought he hit his head or something.
Yeah.
But
Do you know I've watched that movie like 15 times and never realized that.
The only reason I realized it is that someone yells it like while they're all. She's like, he hit a pipe. Okay.
Can I react to that for a second?
Go ahead.
So I really like movies that start you right off in the middle of it, right? I knew right away. A lot of times the chick flick romance
within
genre,
5 minutes,
within 5 minutes there's action happening. And I kind of like that about the movie, that it kind of drew you into, I wonder what's happening. But I did want to comment on, I thought because it was so early in the movie, I actually thought it was going to be a fake out. Like my first reaction was, oh, this is a Christian movie. I bet that he's going to pop up out of the water totally fine. And they're like, yeah. You know, because they're trying to establish them as the bad kids, right? They have these crazy cars, which I don't know how high schoolers in North Carolina afforded like these 1967 Camaros or whatever they were. Like, I mean, you know, that's like the project car of someone
I think
in their retirement age.
It was weird because I think they were trying to say that like Landon's family isn't necessarily poor, but they're not like rich.
Right.
And then he's got like this really, but I mean, I guess his dad's rich, so maybe his dad bought him a car to buy his love.
I remember I'd never seen it before. So my first thought is like they're trying to set these kids up as spoiled, and I thought the whole scene of him not coming out of the water, I thought it was going to be a head fake where he like comes out, he's like, "Hey, bro, hey."
He swam under the water.
Just because it was such like a party atmosphere, and like I didn't think that they would bring the drama that soon, right? But
so. Two things that I mentioned that they set up early. That one, Landon doesn't dance. He's full on footloose, will not dance. And then his ex-girlfriend is there, and she's like trying to get back with him. She's like the popular girl, and he's like wants nothing to do with her. So they set that up. Those things are going to kind of continue throughout the movie. All the other kids run for their cars because they think this kid is dead. Landon gets in the water. He pulls him out. He checks on him. He's alive but injured. And then Landon makes a run for it. Cops stop him. He gets caught. And basically, they're like, this kid is in the hospital because you're lucky he's not dead. You're going to have to do like community service. And so basically, they're like, you have to go and help underprivileged kids at our sister school, which like, have you ever heard of a high school having a sister school?
Never.
Our college had one in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Which like
it's
I've
a
heard
college
of,
thing.
Yeah, I know. I've heard of that. Like that's they're like it's in the same county. It's close by.
High schools change their names so much. I mean, it's kind of pointless to have a sister school and they change names every 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're like our sister school that's literally just in the next town over. So
this is North Carolina, though we're talking about.
Yeah. I maybe they should have. Maybe that's a nitpick on the script, I guess. But maybe instead of sister school, it could have been like. The way I interpreted it as like our school, we had a separate area for people who had developmental challenges and things like that. Stuff like that, right? So I wouldn't call that a sister school. I would just say that, like the alternative school or the special needs school.
So he has to help out there, and then the other thing he gets, he's like, you have to be in the school play.
Yeah.
So which
a
is
lead. You have to be the lead in a school play.
Yeah. We'll get to this eventually. Basically, he shows up.
They were going to risk him totally bombing.
He shows up at practice. There are other boys in the play that presumably tried out
Right.
and they wanted to be the lead. And he shows up and they're like, I know you didn't try out, don't want to be here. You're the lead of the play. So,
well, is it because he was the coolest kid in school, like supposedly the most attractive? That they're like, as your punishment, we're gonna make you the lead.
Yeah, they tried to set it up as like, oh, you just need to get in with the good kids instead of the bad kids. But like to me, that's the equivalent of having a chess club kid as punishment for, destroying a locker room or something.
Yeah.
Saying like, hey, you're going to have to be the quarterback of the football team this Friday.
You're the starting quarterback. Yeah.
You're the starting quarterback. Have fun. I hope you learn about responsibility. It's like, does that send the lesson that like you're supposed to think you're sending? You know what I mean? Like, hey, as punishment, you're going to have something that people really work really hard to get to.
That other people really wanted to have and are going to be bitter about you being handed to you.
Right. So if I were the principal as punishment, I think the cleanup stuff is fine. I think the volunteer tutoring is fine. I would have made him be like the subject of a
stage
class
hand. Or if they were like, hey, someone dropped out of the play. We need you to be their spot, but
I
not
would
the
have made
lead
him
role.
a prop. Yeah. I literally would have made him a prop.
like
a tree.
A tree or
wear leotards.
A dog or something.
Wear a leotard.
Hey, that's a story for another day, but I was literally a prop in a play.
Really? Did you have plays in homeschool?
No, it
Does that count
was
as
for
a
church.
play?
It was for church.
It was just you and Tim and Lindy standing there.
That's
Tim
some
and you
trauma
were trees.
from my life.
Lindy and
Lindy
Neil.
was Lindy and Neil with a star.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. We don't have to get into
know that?
But no, I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
So in addition to this, his mom is like, we got to start going to church.
Right.
So they go to church, and he sees in the front row of the choir, Mandy Moore, a vision, singing.
A goddess. A true angel.
She has a solo.
Yeah, and then
she makes
pastor,
eye contact with him the whole time.
Oh yeah, it's
how creepy is that scene?
Oh yeah, she's like staring him down.
Yes.
It's not like sensual eye contact.
It was
she's
so
like,
sensual.
She's like,
it was. He was misreading it completely.
And then her dad is the pastor, and he gives like a sermon, basically like a backhanded jab at like some people in the church, and then he leans over the pulpit and looks at him.
That actually happened to Leann.
I actually know how that goes.
There's like
I know
there was
how
only
that
like
goes.
I don't know how many people were in this church. Less than 100.
Yeah, it's like a full chapel.
Yeah,
but
it's like
chapel.
it's like a classic Southern style church, like one room, 2 rows of pews. Yeah,
they're lucky.
And they leave the doors open because it's so freaking hot in there.
This flower is Will.
Everyone's fanning themselves with
they
their
got the program.
Yeah, with their program.
They're really lucky that they chose a gospel song to showcase Mandy's solo. Like, it could have been some very boring Latin. Like, if she were Catholic, it would have been a very boring solo. I'm just saying, like, she had an opportunity to showcase her range with the gospel arrangement, right?
Yeah.
It was like that Southern gospel style. I could just see it being a very boring thing. So I think for the plot,
it was the right move. It was the right move for the movie.
I just want to back up for a second. Leann, someone backhanded Leann from the pulpit one time.
Her full family.
Jared, don't even get me started. It wasn't me directly.
Is this something you want to tell?
It was like family lineage stuff.
Okay.
Like about my parents.
Oh, wow.
It was a huge jab at my parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we didn't end up even leaving the church until like 10 years after that happened.
Wow.
So it would be the equivalent. Let me see if I can reenact this in terms of the movie.
Okay.
What was Landon's last name? Carter?
Cotta. I have to say it that way because that's how they say it in the movie.
The Cotta family.
Landon
There's
Cotta.
just no love in the Cotta family.
Wow.
No love.
That's
in the
how it
Cotta
went.
family.
Wow.
And then they still went. So it could have been, I don't like backhanded preachers, especially with a
We
small.
need to do a podcast on that.
On what? Backhanded preaching?
Yeah, and just stuff that happened
Put it in the backlog.
church that shouldn't happen.
Put it in the backlog.
Mental
did,
note.
Church
you know?
drama.
Yeah.
The podcast.
Well,
episode.
well,
Church trauma. That's what we should call the episode.
So that's one of the things
we're booking
that
you for that one too.
Oh yeah, I got so much to share.
I just think that like that kind of made me feel like it really was a small church when he knows everything that's going on in a little bit of a nosy way.
Yeah.
That's how that's how I thought his character was going to unfold to be, because his first reaction when Landon comes over is like really negative, and I'm like, okay, this person like knows everything about the community. He's like he really knows what's going on.
He's a pillar of the community.
Yeah. That's kind of how I thought he was going to set up, and it turned out to be a little different than that, but that's just what I thought they were trying to show with that scene, that like he knows more than you think he knows. So I thought he was going to like reveal something about my first thought was maybe Landon's background was going to be more tragic than we thought, right? That we established he was divorced, or not he was divorced.
His dad wasn't around.
We don't
know why yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I thought that there was going to be something that came into play, like he experienced tragedy and was lashing out at God because of all these reasons. And it really wasn't that ham-fisted, so I'm happy it didn't go in that direction.
Yeah.
I just thought because he called him out from the pulpit that they had to address it. Like I was setting up this idea that he had some hidden baggage, right? But it really wasn't the case.
So then let's see what happens next. So the next thing that happens is we touched on, he just gets handed the lead in the play. Turns out the play was written by Mandy Moore's character. I think Mandy Moore's character's name is Jamie. I'm going to call her Mandy the whole time.
Okay.
Get used to it.
I like that. I support that.
Then there's like a scene where Landon takes his old girlfriend home, and she's like, needs a ride home. And then she gets there and she's like, my parents are out of town. And he's like, cool, bye. He's like, cannot be bothered.
I didn't get that whole scene. Like, why was it so abrupt? Their relationship in that scene. It was just like, we're done.
I think it's just
no
like,
explanation.
I think it's just like he just doesn't want anything to do with her, even though she's clearly trying to get up to some nonsense, and he's just like, get out of the car.
I was so confused by that.
He was using the Dennis method.
Separate entirely.
Yeah, exactly. Separate entirely. So that's what I think happened.
All right, and so basically what they're setting up in this whole thing is that like now he is in all these places where he is surrounded by Mandy Moore, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing he has to do is he helps out at this school. He gets it's like a Saturday morning. He gets up and they drive them to this school. The bus that they are on says North Carolina City Schools, as if all of North Carolina were one school district.
Right.
And they had a bus.
Wow, you have some attention to detail.
I thought it was ridiculous.
So that comes into play later, and I want to talk about this in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Should I save it? It's the state lines thing.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So like the movie supposedly takes place in Beaufort, North Carolina, which is like in the Outer Banks area type of thing, which is like 2 hours from the Virginia border.
Yeah.
It just seems like a far drive. So it was kind of nebulously North Carolina, right? Like it could be anywhere.
Any town, North Carolina.
Right, exactly.
So and Mandy Moore is part of that program too. So basically they're just setting up that he sees her at church, he sees her at play practice, he sees her at this thing. They're hanging out together, whatever it is.
And she's a real type A, like she's in everything.
Yeah. She's real spelling bee champion style.
She's the opposite of me, pretty much.
One thing I thought was interesting is like they have her like the clothes that she's wearing, right? She's wearing like a classic 90s like ankle length floral dress thing, right? So I watched the newest episode of How I Met Your Father last night.
Yeah.
It's Hillary Duff's new show.
Your favorite.
I love her. She's wearing. I was like Mandy Moore had that outfit on in A Walk to Remember, and she was supposed to be like plain or whatever, and then Hillary Duff's supposed to be like this hot millennial girl about town in New York, and she's wearing the same thing.
There were.
Goes around, comes
Yeah,
around.
it's-
Everything
yeah.
from the 90s, 2000s is now
Yeah.
cool. And
That's right.
acceptable.
Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
podcast, for example. That's why we're making it.
Yep.
So it was like the layers for me.
Yeah.
That was. I remember girls wearing that
Oh,
in school.
yeah, they made
but,
a big deal about her only having one sweater.
Yeah.
She got one sweater.
Right. That was like the big joke. So Landon's friends are making fun of her. They're teasing her. And
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like,
nice sweater. And she's like, thanks. And then,
No, I can do it. I can do
okay,
it.
go ahead.
Thank you. That's
I think-
literally how she
I
said
think-
thank you.
I think that, like, stuff like that
It
is
was
like,
so cringe.
stuff like that is such a dumb, like bullying because they don't know about it. They just think you paid them a compliment and then
Right.
you left. I was like,
Right.
that's so dumb. You're like a nice sweater. She says thank you, then she walks away,
Backhanded
and then you were like,
compliment.
it wasn't a nice sweater. Gotcha.
I hate it. Yeah. So you gave them 3 confidence points.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Well,
know.
you know, not
Oh my
jokes
God.
were new at the time,
Yeah.
so it was probably
So I find that scene interesting because of
Yeah.
the way Mandy, aka Jamie, reacted to it.
Yeah.
Exactly like
Yeah,
Leann.
she takes it as a genuine compliment
you.
and just great impression.
I just love saying it like that.
All right, so okay, this drama teacher is absolutely cold-blooded when they're practicing this scene.
Yeah.
The teacher says, "Are you trying to be bad?" And Landon says, "No, it just comes naturally." And I thought that was
And
a pretty
everyone
good.
cracked
And then
up.
everyone.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty
laughing.
good joke.
Yeah.
But
I
also
mean,
that teacher just absolutely savage.
So was he tanking on purpose or is he just bad? And he couldn't ever admit that through his cool guy.
He was just so
Well, I
focused
think-
on being
I
a
think-
cool guy.
I think he was bad because he, like, one of the parts of the movie is that he runs lines with Mandy Moore in an attempt to get better. He's taking it seriously. So I think he generally was
Well, what
bad.
was that conversation he had with someone in the movie where they said, you better not like screw this up? Like, you better actually take this seriously because everyone's going to make fun of you.
Was that with his friend? When
Yeah,
they were
there was
chatting
some
about it?
conversation they
Yeah.
had where he was like, no, you actually have to try and be good.
Yeah,
Because
oh yeah.
everyone's going to think you're a loser.
Yeah.
And he's the cool guy and he has a reputation.
And they're
for
like,
cool.
we're all coming to see you to make fun of you unless you're good. And,
Right.
then we'll say it was cool.
Haha, nice acting.
Yeah, good acting, bro. Here's
Not.
here's some flowers. All right, so I think he's having some trouble with his car because the police wrecked it when they were catching him or whatever. So he needs a ride home. Mandy Moore gives him a ride home. On the way home,
Oh, he's in crutches too, by the way.
is he? I forgot. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's
So the police spun his car out when he was running. from the
Pit
scene.
And he hurt
maneuver.
himself. He's
Pit
been on
maneuvered him.
crutches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she's going to give him a ride home, and they begin talking about she has a bucket list, and some of the things that are on her bucket list are. This is the reason she brings it up. She says number 62 or something, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Number 62 on my bucket list: befriend someone I don't like."
Savage.
Yeah, and she just says
She's
she
so
says-
confident.
Yeah, she says it just like matter of fact.
Yeah. Also, like, she knew he had no context for what that number
Oh
was.
yeah,
Like,
she just is like 62, 72 or
Like
something. Yeah.
typical girl fashion.
Yeah. And
So sly.
here are some of the other things that are on her list. Get a tattoo. Surprising, considering she's the character she's.
She
supposed to
didn't
be.
specify real
Yeah,
fake.
true. Make a medical discovery. Be in 2 places at once and spend a year in the Peace Corps. And then let's see. I have this written down that at some point Mandy Moore, someone asked her for help. I think it was Landon asked her for help, and she's like, "I'll pray for you." And
Yes.
I thought that was funny too.
Another savage move.
Oh yeah, I thought it was so. She's like, "I'll pray for you."
Yeah, he asked for help too
yeah.
with his lines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
She's like, okay, I'll pray for you. And then he's like, no, seriously. Like, and then they,
Yeah.
So it's
She actually
basically
does.
established that Mandy seems really annoyed with Landon, but she sees him as like a project from the very beginning. Like,
Yeah.
she sees him as like an annoyance, but
Yeah.
as someone who she can just sort of play with, I guess, in
Yeah.
terms of like
or
poning
perhaps
him every time.
witness to.
She's missionary dating.
Yeah,
Is
she
she-
is
a
missionary
missionary
dating.
dating.
Yes.
I took it more of less missionary. It started to have that attraction develop at first, but I think she legitimately just had fun poning him with those one-liners every single time.
Also, as we'll get to eventually at one point, her stakes for this are pretty,
Well,
it doesn't matter if she messes it up. I
think
guess
about
is what I'm
this. She
saying.
probably doesn't have a lot of guy interaction. So this is like her one opportunity to just like let it all out. You know?
yeah.
All of these zingers that she's been storing up.
See, I don't know
Classic
I don't
banter.
know how with all these activities she did, it kind of portrayed her as the loner, right? They said she was at lunch table number 7 or whatever,
But
which
she was
isn't for
very
loners.
talkative and
Yeah.
outgoing.
And she said that she wrote that play with another boy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she has at least, presumably
She has nerdy friends.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I guess if she does have these nerdy friends, these drama kids or the band kids or whoever she's hanging out with, presumably she's got the science kids, the math kids,
But it's all
the
at
medical
school.
kids.
I don't think any of it's like after school hanging out.
I'm just like wondering why
They're not coming over to
No way.
She's not going to
Her
parties.
pastor dad is never letting anyone in the house.
I'm just wondering why she didn't have any of those like super hot fire kids behind her being like, oh,
yeah, get wrecked.
yeah, like, I feel like
I'll pray for you.
Yeah.
That line reminded me of
glasses, jacket, shirt, man.
So, have you guys ever seen the movie Easy A with Emma Stone and Amanda Bynes?
This sounds familiar, but I don't know.
No, should we watch it this weekend?
It's not super. We can. It's not super important, but there's a part. Basically, Amanda Bynes' character in the movie is super religious, and there's a part where Emma Stone's character is like pretending to like be promiscuous to like boys are paying her money to say that they did things with her and she's like it's ruining her reputation, but she doesn't care. And there's a scene where Amanda Bynes says, "We need to pray for her, but also we need to get her the heck out of here." And that's what it reminded me of.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So this attraction's growing, right? So she starts like messing with him, and I feel like she's just so satisfied to have her. No one hears those destructive beatdowns, but she gets this smug smile that like she knows she's pretty happy with those beatdowns.
Oh yeah, definitely. She definitely does have like a weird sense about her every time she owns him with one of these things where she's like, "Good one, Mandy."
Yeah, exactly. And it's all self-contained. I guess that's my point. It's like for someone who's maybe Landon perceived her as quiet and awkward and doesn't have friends. Like she's sharp and funny
And confident.
and confident, and that's what it is. Yeah,
It's her confidence, not caring what anyone thinks, that attracted him to her.
and that's what causes that attraction to grow in the second act of the film.
Yeah. So there's at one point she's like walking at night and he sees her and she's like walking into
Through
a
the
cemetery.
yeah.
And real creepy move. He like grabs her in a cemetery. It's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "I could ask you the same thing." And turns out that she's got like a telescope and she's going to look at the stars. And that's a thing that'll come back up with it.
I'm surprised she didn't say, "I'm a grave digger and I'm digging your grave."
Oh,
Yeah. I would have. Then he would have ran, and then he wouldn't have bothered her.
So they are starting to become like friends, and she like says hi to him at school in front of his friends, and he like is like, "Who are you? Don't talk to me." And then she's like, "All right," and her response to it was kind of like, "That's how you're gonna play it? Then that's how it is." And then he's like, "We're gonna run lines, right?" And she's like, "No." She's like,
That's
who
when
did
she
you
drops
think
the
he
"I'll pray
was?
for you" line.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
"I really." He comes over her house. She slams the door in his face,
Yeah.
and then he basically begs her to help. And so she's like, "Well, maybe I'll pray for you." So it seems that there's obviously some element of physical attraction there because I think she likes the attention from him. She likes kind of being able to wield.
Like any girl would.
Yeah, she knows that she has the
Just
upper
because
hand,
she's a
right?
Christian doesn't mean she doesn't like it.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I really felt like now it was obvious that they were going to become an item one way or the other, right?
So next thing that happens is that Landon goes to visit this kid that he tricked into jumping into the water. And this is when the kid's like, I don't know why everyone would be friends with you. And to the best of my recollection, this is the last time you see that kid. This whole plot point is like never resolved. It's just like
what kid?
The hospital kid.
The kid that was in the hospital.
Oh,
He made him jump in the
yeah.
wall. The kid basically was like, I can't believe I ever want to be friends with you, and they leave, and that was like it.
Right.
Like they never. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they ever really resolve that storyline.
I think that it was trying to be like a concrete marker
Yeah.
of a
like
change.
he's trying to be better. Even
Yeah.
Oh, but Mandy, aka Jamie, she did hound him a few times.
Yeah,
about
she's like,
not
you
going
should go
to see
see him.
him in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hospital. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing that happens is that it's the night of the play. Here, the play is happening, and let's see here. This theater that this school has, it looks like it's like a courtroom or something, or like a college like lecture
Again, your
room.
attention to detail is insane.
Well, it's just
I
like
would have
I've never
noticed
seen
that.
a theater that looks like this before. Like maybe this is like I think it was.
I thought it looked like a movie theater.
It was strange. It was like
It was like
there's-
not how a high school would be set up.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
I did not get that at all. It looked like the Columbiana Little Theater to me.
It looked
maybe
like a
I
movie
mean maybe
theater.
I'd never been to that theater, so I mean it's
Again,
possible.
this is North Carolina. Things could be
It's-
so
It's a
different.
Things are
classic
different.
North Carolina theater. Everyone knows.
Classic Beaufort
Yeah.
style chapel. I can't believe I missed that.
So the play that they're doing is supposed to, I think it's supposed to take place in like the 20s or the 30s, because
Yeah.
it's about like
The
about like a
roaring
bootlegger,
20s,
right?
something
a
like
bootlegger?
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to. Can I address this right
yeah,
now?
yeah.
Plays were rough as they were, right? I
Yeah.
could not imagine being the drama coach trying to corral a bunch of kids to do like Shakespeare,
Yeah.
something that's already
Let
written.
alone letting them write their own
let
play.
alone
Yeah,
write
yeah.
their own play about a bootlegger, about a time period that their only interaction with is probably
The high school.
Books and movies.
The high
Books and
schooler that
movies.
wrote it was literally in the back with,
Yeah.
with the other lady, the
Yeah,
actual.
he was keeping track of the
theater
script in case
teacher.
they need the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does an 18-year-old girl who's never been outside of Beaufort, North Carolina,
Yeah.
know about the Gilded Age and bootlegging operations? Like it just seems
Apparently
like
a lot because she killed it.
Well, you just, I mean, you should write about what you
So,
know, right? It's like, I don't know.
The thing that I want to say is like everyone's outfit mainly looks pretty good, but her hair, like if she was supposed
The
to be,
back wasn't even curled.
if she, what I'm
the
saying, yeah,
front strands were curled.
If she's
but the
supposed-
back was like stringy straight.
if she's supposed to be a flapper in the 20s, she needs to have a headband with a
Yep.
feather on it.
Yep.
And she
Short.
needs to have short hair.
Short hair.
She needs to have short hair.
Yeah, she looked nothing
See, that
like
would
a
have
girl
fit
from
in with the
20s.
plot because she could have revealed that she got her hair cut and
Yeah.
everyone was
It would
wondering.
have been amazing. It would have been what a reveal.
Well, it would have been
She's got a pixie cut now or whatever.
Well, it tied in with why she needed to cut her hair short,
Yeah.
right? So I just think
they
that was a
could've-
weird plot point.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that part of it.
Yeah, well, again, that
Yeah,
was a question that I
that's
had
a-
lingering
yeah.
through.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so, doing this play, good for her. She wrote this whole thing herself. But obviously, this is the big rags to riches moment where she goes from the floral dress and the
Yeah.
old sweater
Okay,
to.
can I just say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Do you find her, though she's a confident girl,
Yeah.
do you ever find her a tad bit boastful or conceited in the fact that she wrote the play, but she gave herself the lead role where she was singing
hold
this
on.
elaborate song. She wore this gorgeous gown. Like, it's like she made herself out to be someone who she really isn't in real life in the play for like the sake of being a little risky.
She wanted to be noticed, I think.
risque
Well, what
for,
I'll
the,
say
for
is-
the moment, for the time being. Her
Well-
dad, even in the audience, Pastor, he was even shocked by her like acting in the play.
What I'll say about this is the way that this school is handing out parts. Who knows how like she may not have given herself the part. She may have just been like, I wrote this play, and they're like, congratulations, you're the lead role now. You're being punished.
I'm sorry,
I
I'm
don't
sorry,
know.
Mandy. Your homework was late 3 times in a row.
You're the lead of the play
You're
now.
the lead of the play. I'm really sorry.
I just like to imagine at this school that everyone hates the play so much that it's like the worst punishment you can get. Like you have to be the lead in the play now.
Right.
If someone else does something worse, then you get bumped down to the understudy and they become the lead. Or
So anyways, it's this big reveal moment, right? Where she sings this song. She has this solo.
It's called Only Hope. It's a real song by Mandy Moore, from the best I can tell.
And she takes off the hoodie.
It was actually on her album.
Yeah.
Her album, I think, came out after the movie.
Yeah.
And that was on there.
So it's this epic reveal. She's wearing a hoodie. She looks like a monk, and she plays this mysterious
She was wearing a cloak.
bar
not a
middle
Yeah,
character.
I thought it was like a trench coat or something.
It was like a monk outfit.
Yeah, it was like a
Like with
pointed.
the hood
okay,
and the
yeah,
robe attached.
Yeah. Okay.
Or she looked like someone from
She looked like a mage.
in the Twilight Saga.
Yeah,
You know,
she
when
looked like a
the
Volturi.
vampires- Yeah, Volturi. That's what she looked like.
She
I
did
mean,
look
I
like
know,
a
but
Volturi.
sure, yeah.
You've never seen Twilight?
No.
What?
No. Why would I
You've
see that?
literally seen every movie in existence, and you've never seen Twilight.
Listen, I knew it was bad.
Get outta
I didn't
here.
see it. Why would I watch it?
Tired.
Which
action,
Team
romance?
Team Jacob, or Team Edward?
Oh my gosh, Edward, 100%.
Mike?
That's me?
Yeah, Mike. Which
European
one? Which
dude,
European?
all the way.
Edward or Jacob?
I guess Edward.
What do you mean you guess?
Well, I don't like either of them.
What I'll say
But
now is
I find both of them annoying in their own ways. But I would say
You found
Edward.
Jacob to be very immature
Yeah, I
in
would.
comparison to Edward.
Correct.
Because Edward was a million years old, so
Yeah.
he obviously had
It's the tallest of the seven dwarfs
maturity under his
situation.
belt.
Edward, but
having never
neither.
seen it. What I'll say about this is
I love
Edward.
how we're talking about Twilight.
Well, hey, this is the way it goes. Edward, Robert Pattinson, I think, is a pretty decent actor now.
Now he
And
is.
yeah, like as
But
though
so is Kristen Stewart. She's
Yeah.
really good now.
I don't
What
know.
were they going through back then?
I don't know.
Like, I have no idea.
it was just a bad script.
Puberty.
Yeah, seriously.
So I mean, I think he's got that going for him. But Taylor Lautner dated Taylor Swift, so I'm gonna
Taylor
have to
and Taylor.
I'm gonna have to be Team Jacob because of that. All right, so in the play, she sings the song, and then Landon's character, but really Landon,
I believe the song is called "My Only Hope."
it is.
Okay.
It's, yes, and Landon kisses her, and everyone
That wasn't
goes,
part of the script.
Oh yeah, I got it. I got it. marked down
Really?
right here. Yeah,
I thought it was completely ad lib. Like he wasn't supposed to.
No.
kiss her.
What I'm saying, I got the note that says that. I got.
okay.
Yeah. So he kisses her. Everyone in the crowd goes wild.
I'm getting so excited.
Landon's ex-girlfriend is staring daggers.
She's the photographer for the play, so she's capturing everything.
She's taking pictures of it. She's grimacing the whole time with her
Yep.
Frenching.
I'm gonna say that right. I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't think that's a good thing to do. Just to randomly improvise a kiss to somebody. Like he's lucky he was reading the room okay because like an unforeseen kiss, so to speak, would have been.
Hey, sloppy wet is worse. Sloppy wet is worse.
I don't know. Okay,
It's worse.
When
It
you-
was both.
When
It literally was.
He said, "Why not both?"
I just want you to know, for all of you who voted for unforeseen kiss, that's what you're saying.
Explain
I have
to me
my
how
blessing.
sloppy wet is better in that situation.
Doesn't matter. Unforeseen. Landon just gave an
She was
unforeseen
receptive
kiss.
to it. She was receptive to it. It's all about how she.
I don't know about you, but if someone were to
If she was
give me an
against it, then yes, it's
unforeseen
bad.
kiss, I would want it to not be wet.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah,
you're
we
gonna kiss
agree.
me
Yeah.
sneakily,
Yeah.
it better be neutral.
Yeah. Don't slip a tongue in there.
Yeah, no wetness.
I just think it's too unforeseen. And if you support random kissing, if you are unforeseen kiss, you think Landon is justified tacitly.
I wouldn't want to kiss his lips. I'm sorry. There's just something
You're just
about
afraid of
his
those
mouth.
teeth.
Yeah, his
You're-
teeth, dude.
He's scowling at you the whole time.
They're so chompy.
I'm surprised
They're
he
like
went for it.
jaggedy on the tips.
Do you think he scowls like that in his real life? That's my one takeaway from Landon.
He does.
Like,
He looks exactly the same. Go
As
to
a
his
dude.
Instagram.
yeah, he has a permanent scowl etched into his face. It looks like I get that he's playing a bad boy,
Yeah.
but he really
He
sold
needs
it
to
with
get
the
a little
eyebrows.
Botox right there in the middle.
You think he has
Yeah.
wrinkles like
He needs to
from
get that.
scowling the whole time?
That permanent scowl.
You
all
had
right.
to know he was bad.
Yeah.
So.
So
Unforeseen kiss out of the way. It's a big deal.
So yeah, it is shortly after that. The guy who wrote the play comes up to him and he's like, "Hey, that was some great like improv or whatever you did. Like that wasn't in the script." There, just to let everyone know, like he wasn't supposed to kiss her. He did it, and
He also wasn't supposed to tell her that she was beautiful, and he
Yeah.
did that too.
yeah. I mean,
Double whammy.
yeah.
Totally unforeseen.
That was a very
Unforeseen
uncomfortable
compliment.
That was an awkward part to watch in the movie. I hated watching that where it was just like dead silence and it pans to her dad being like, and then it pans to like his girlfriend being like, and it's just dead silence. And then he's like, "You're beautiful." I just felt that I did the cringe on behalf of everyone in that theater.
Surprisingly, though, it flowed. Like the audience looked like that was like part of the.
I mean,
the
everyone
play.
except for the dad and the ex-girlfriend were on board with this kid.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know.
The ex-girlfriend and the dad were like, "This was not supposed to happen."
As
But everyone else was like,
myself in the
"Wow, this
audience,
is really good."
Yeah.
It felt uncomfy.
So we find out that Landon's dad has shown up. That he's not dead, which we weren't sure what his deal was, but he's just a deadbeat dad, but not a dead dad.
A deadbeat cardiologist.
He's not deadbeat by like at all.
Yeah, well,
he's a very successful doctor.
Right, but I meant deadbeat in the fact that he abandoned his family.
Yeah.
Or how Landon perceives it.
Yes. And so he shows up and he's like, "Hey, your mom told me about the play. You did great," or whatever. And he's like, "Get out of here, Dad." And he wanted
nothing to do with his dad.
Yeah.
When he was like, "We should. I want to take you out."
Yeah, he's like, "Let's go out to dinner or whatever." He's like, "Get out of here, Dad." So the next scene.
Literally, get out of here, Dad. I haven't seen you in 10 years.
He like pushes him away and walks. And I gotta say, for being, here's the stereotype, right? His dad is established a cardiologist, right? He actually says, "I'm a cardiologist."
Doctor. Yeah. So I don't think he's a cardiologist yet. I just know he's a doctor because that's important later.
I just feel like it was very weird to see someone in that position who's, normally you get there by being a type A, ultra, like, I'm going to take the world by its horns type of person, to just let your punk kid push you away in front of everyone without any pushback. Like, to be a cardiologist, you got to break a few eggs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but maybe he understands, like, hey, it wasn't cool that I abandoned.
Let's interview a couple Cardi
B's.
Cardi
B's
got
of
a
the
party
world.
with Cardi.
Cardiologists or whatever.
I mean, maybe he was just like, "Yeah, it was pretty uncool that I abandoned you and your mom for several years."
By the way, can we talk about Landon's mom?
What about her? Go ahead.
I mean, the fact that we both thought she was a man.
Well, she has very masculine.
She's 6 foot tall.
My wife,
and her jawline was that of like.
Very strong. Did not come out in
the
London.
Hulk or something. And ironically, her name in real life is Daryl.
Oh, like Daryl Hannah? Yeah. Okay. So my wife, when the first thing she was in, she's like, "His mom looks like she's like 5 years older than him," and I was like, "Nah." But apparently, for like 5 minutes, my wife thought that they were like very close in age, and then they showed her again, and I was like, "See, look, she's like 40."
Yeah. Maybe 45.
She's just built different, I guess.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it.
So the next scene,
Daryl.
The next scene that happens is the most important scene that we've been building to. All right, so Landon's working on his car. His friend is there with him. His friends, they're gonna help him work on the car. He's like, "All right, let's get some music on." His friend puts on, I have "Get Your Freak On" by Missy Elliott.
Get your freak on.
Yeah.
Get your freak on.
I don't think they actually
awesome
say "Get Your
beat.
Freak On," but it's just like the intro.
Such a sick beat.
He only, they probably didn't have,
the licensing rights.
Yeah, they paid for the
29 seconds.
Where would you have a Missy Elliott song and a Switchfoot song in the same movie?
So he's like, "Turn that Soul Train thing off, man." That's what Landon says.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Put this on." He turns on "Flood" by Jars of Clay, which that song rules. But it was a very this is when I was like, all right, now we got the Christian movie going on.
Right.
Yes.
Jars of
the
Clay
themes
is on.
are so strong now.
Flood is playing. Jars of Clay is being featured in this movie.
He's about to be at the altar.
Yeah, he's like,
minus 10
and his
minutes.
friend's like, "Hey, where'd you get this?" And he's like, "I borrowed it from Mandy Moore."
And that's the best way to get Christian CDs. See, she witnessed by giving CDs. We've talked about that before.
Yep.
Very easy way to witness.
Yes, she's out here. She's
It is. What are you laughing at? That's
Oh my
she's
gosh.
you don't
out-
have you
I'm
can
just
out
thinking
here
about
laying
all the
the
times you
groundwork.
made me mixtapes.
she's out here laying the groundwork for this missionary dating scheme she's about to pull off, and she's like, hey, check out Jars of Clay. Check out track 2.
preach the gospel at all
Yeah.
times. If necessary, use mixtapes.
So next thing that happens, I don't know if it's like her birthday or whatever, but he buys her a gift. Surprise, it's a new sweater. It's a pink sweater.
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
No, I mean,
Okay, first of all, I feel like any girl
That's her style, though.
would take offense to that.
you
Like,
buy
to-
your not even girlfriend
yeah,
clothes.
some guy that you don't even know what's going on between you. He just hands you a bag and it has a sweater in it. Like, here you go. Like, you need this.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I think
Like,
it was
that's
her
offensive.
birthday, though. I think it
Yeah.
was her birthday. I think it
Clothes,
was
a
like-
sweater is a bad gift, especially because he
It
made
was
fun of her
it was
sweater.
it was like
So
pale
Well, I think
pink.
it was like an in joke between them where he was like, hey, I made fun of your sweater.
Here's a
made
new
fun
one.
of you for having only one sweater. Here's an extra sweater.
I just am not buying it. I don't think it's a good gift.
All right, everyone.
I don't think it's a good gift.
Everyone,
either.
let us know. I vote good gift. The Mike and Leann vote bad gift. Let
Very
us know.
bad.
She has so many different interests. None of them are clothes.
He pays off those other
Exactly.
interests. He pays off those other interests later.
Okay.
One thing at a time.
He does. I'm just saying, like,
She likes getting compliments on her nice sweater. Now she's got another sweater to get compliments on.
it just shows
She
you.
very clearly liked that compliment. She said, do it. Do it. What did she say when she got it?
Thank you.
And now she can say that more often because
Okay.
she's got another sweater.
It just seemed like that was like a shallow gift for someone who's trying to portray himself as deeper. I'm just saying.
Word of
Alright.
advice to anyone listening: never buy me a sweater. Just never do it. That's just
So
not,
anyone
it's just not
sending
cool.
in gifts to the podcast.
Mike, do not
Yeah.
buy me a
no,
sweater.
no,
No big
sweaters for
sweaters,
Leann.
please. Yeah.
Unless it's that anti-social social club sweatshirt that I've been asking for.
Wow.
That's what I do want.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
Put-
get that
put in the
for you
request
as
in.
Landon.
All right. So next thing.
He ordered it from China, so it'll take 6 months to get here.
So Mandy Moore, she's like, her dad comes out and she's like, get out of here, Landon. He's like, all right, sorry, sir.
I
Whatever.
just love how her dad just says Landon. Like, if you really pay attention in the movie,
Landon.
Landon Carter.
That's
Yeah.
pretty.
Get out of here,
Yeah.
Landon.
He's the
Get off
only
my
one in the
lawn,
movie with
Landon.
a southern drawl. How
Yeah.
is that the preacher is the only one with a southern drawl? Did you notice that? None of the
I
kids
didn't
have
Yeah,
southern
it
draws.
is really thick.
Landon.
Yeah.
Landon
Can you think of
Carter.
another character? His mom? No.
No,
Mandy's mom? No.
Maybe they
No,
all.
Mandy's mom wasn't
maybe,
in it. I mean,
maybe
It's
they
the
all.
pastor thing.
Maybe they all moved there from a different state or something.
they're all from Ohio.
Yeah. No, they're snowbirds. They
Yeah.
moved down there. All right. So basically, he's like, pulls Mandy Moore aside and he's like, boys like Landon, they're going to want things. Basically telling her, like, hey, he's going to try and pressure you.
want sex.
Well, calm down.
Is that what he's implying?
I think that's definitely what he's implying. That's definitely
What he was implying.
what do you think he was implying? Like,
I don't know. I thought that
that he's gonna. He's like,
they're
what's he
gonna
gonna? What's
want
he gonna want? He's gonna want books.
he's going to ask you to give
Your
up your
mom's
faith.
old
He's gonna want you to
diary, yeah.
read.
He's going
your,
to ask
your
you.
rosary,
He's going to ask you to stop reading your Bible.
your Christian
He's gonna
cross
want a
necklace.
massage.
Get your life under control.
Oh boy, we're gonna have to edit that.
So,
out.
what-
I just love just throwing in inappropriate things whenever.
I just told an
whenever I see
advertiser
fit.
that we are a G,
Knowing that you're
100%.
gonna edit it out.
All right. So next thing that happens. Okay. So Landon's ex-girlfriend, as we've established, was the photographer at the play. She's got some pictures. They're like,
Oh yeah.
we're gonna edit. They're like, we're gonna edit them to try and embarrass her. Like, so what they do is they make the worst Photoshop ever. And
They took
apparently-
a beautiful picture
Yes.
of her face
yes.
from the play.
The thing is, okay. First of all, this Photoshop, no one is going to believe this is real.
Well, absolutely not.
But everyone in the movie is treating it as if they're like, is that really her? Is that really a picture of her?
It's so
Really?
bad.
Yeah, I think that people were like, I don't know if Photoshop was new, and they were like, well, what is this? There's no way that they could fake this.
I thought how I took it was they were like harassing her because they saw how beautiful she actually could be in the play. They saw her in a gorgeous gown with makeup on, and they were like, oh, so that's the body underneath all of those ugly sweaters that she always wears.
So
you know what I mean?
So what they do is they Photoshop her head onto like a lingerie model. So they're like
a lingerie model.
Well, hold on,
it was a bikini.
Hold on. Here's what I have.
Huge butt.
They said they put her face on a model. Bikini. She's not wearing a thong. It's more like she's wearing briefs that are in a wedgie. Is what I
like Daisy Dukes that are like way up the butt.
Boy shorts.
Daisy Dukes.
Okay, sure.
For sure.
Okay, and then under it they wrote the Virgin Mary. Okay, but the thing is, this Photoshop, the picture of the model is in color, and the picture of Mandy Moore's face is black and white.
Yes.
So it's
it's
literally not even. They're not like you could have easily. If you could do that, you could make the whole thing black and white.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like it's no like.
Are you sure it was Photoshop? It looked like Microsoft.
No, it was like Photoshop 1.0.
I just called it Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
I don't. I mean, I call that for anything that has to do with photo editing. I know that it was
Photoshop.
probably MS Paint or whatever.
It reminded me of those photos you would Photoshop of me and your friends, like into random
I literally
things.
could have done that, and no one would have thought it was real. But everyone in the school was like, "Can you believe that there's this picture of her?" It's like, why is her face so pale? And the rest of her body's in color, bro.
So
she looked like Joe Rogan. When they photoshopped his face gray.
That's hilarious.
The other thing that I thought was weird, I was like, this movie has a lot of swearing in it for being rated PG. I thought it was rated PG-13.
Yeah.
I looked it up. It's rated PG, and they're dropping S-bombs left and right in this movie. I was like, this is PG. I could not believe it was rated PG.
Yeah, it was pretty edgy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite swear words, I'm not going to lie.
The S word in a movie.
If I could say it on the pod, I totally would.
No, I'm sorry. Our advertisers wouldn't like that.
While we're here, I'll briefly discuss. My friend Travis and I made up a list of words you can use as substitutes so that when you're singing a song and it has a cuss word in it, you can still sing it and it rhymes with it. So for the S word, we use spit.
Spit?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You never said like shoit?
No, spit.
Because it's like kind of in there.
No,
it's like kind of a little bit like the sound of it is in there.
But
shoit.
But spit rhymes with it, and you can sing the. That doesn't rhyme with.
I like shoit better.
Okay, well you can. I'm just saying.
Am I gonna have to edit this? There's little children that listen to this.
Hey.
There is one listener between the ages of 2 and 12, according to our Spotify.
Trust me, honey. They hear way worse.
We don't know that. We said that person said that they had a son. They didn't say they listened to the podcast with them. They might. They might not.
Woman.
And we're not. I'm not saying any cuss language.
Rochelle is an adult woman. She can handle shoit.
You can edit this. Put an edit mark down. Put an edit mark.
It's over. It's over.
We wasted an hour.
Scrap it.
I love you.
All right, so we're gonna keep moving
mad
here.
at me.
So Landon asked.
So
Mandy
they Photoshop her.
Yeah, Mandy Moore's dad. If you can take. He punches his friend.
Oh yeah, that was the most awkward fight ever.
Yeah,
there's no reason to get to blows.
He punches him.
Okay, why does he go directly to that guy? That's what I want to know.
He was the ringleader.
He was the one who shopped it? I thought it was the girl who photoshopped it.
It was like everybody was involved.
He was the one that got her to do it. She was like, I have this thing, and he's like, I got an idea.
And I don't remember.
And he was the one that was like, went up to her and was like, hey, have you seen this? It was like messing with her, whatever. So he gets into a fight, and he's like, he has ditched all of his old friends. He's fully committed to Mandy Moore now. Goes to ask Mandy Moore's dad if he can take her out. And then this, I thought was this line. He says, I'm asking you for the same thing that you teach in church every day, faith. And I said, I think what you're looking for is grace.
Yeah.
I realized
That's a
that
good
too.
point.
I was like,
Yeah.
faith in you.
He wasn't paying
be a better
attention at
person?
church. He'd only been a couple times, you know.
But somehow this works on the dad, even though the dad is probably like,
He looks up over
well,
his
he
glasses,
probably
like-
meant grace, but whatever. Like, we'll
He
have
should have
faith.
corrected him.
He was somewhat
Yes.
paying attention.
Yeah, if this, I would say, like, if this
B
was like an
plus.
official Christian movie, they would have taken that moment to do that, but because it's not.
He could have chosen really any other fruit of the spirit. He could have done perseverance or patience or kindness, but I don't know. Faith was an awkward shoehorn, I think.
So the next thing that happens, so they go on this date. This date, I wrote it down. How long does this date last? Why do they not have a curfew?
All
because
night long,
this
baby.
date, they go out to dinner or whatever.
They go to the cemetery? Or is that date number
That's
two?
a different day, I think.
Oh.
So they go out to dinner, and then she's like, dance with me. And he's like, the whole time he's been like, I don't dance. And I'm pretty sure he briefly dances here, and he like steps on her feet or whatever.
He's with all the old people at the restaurant.
He's a bad dancer. And then they're like, all right, what are we going to do? He's like, all right, so we're going to cross some things off that list of yours. So they gets a temporary tattoo.
She seductively pulls her
she's
her
he's like,
top down and exposes her
yeah,
shoulders.
he's definitely would have got sent home from school
As
for showing,
men would say,
for showing
"Aru."
shoulders. And then, like Mike said, he's like, all right, we're going to be in two places at once. He drives to the border of Virginia, which you've suggested is probably 2 hours
From
away.
Beaufort,
or
Beaufort,
Yeah.
with no traffic, according to Google Maps, is 2.5 hours.
Okay, so this is a 5-hour round trip.
Just to stand at the border.
Right. And
No bathroom breaks.
right. And this is like, I was like, and it was already night when they went to dinner, and then they do this afterwards. I was like, what are they getting home? If the dad was this hesitant to let her go on a date at all, and then they're just out till 4 a.m.
Dude, if it was anything like my first date with Mike, whew,
Tell it.
dude.
What?
He literally made me hide under a trench coat. I'm not even kidding. In his car.
Well, sure.
He didn't want his parents to see me in the car.
You guys don't do
We were on a date, but he didn't want his parents to see us. So he told me to hide under his trench coat. And guess what? I did. I listened.
Listen.
Mortifying. Humiliating. Why did I even stay with this kid?
My dad was like the preacher of this with the stuff.
Dude, your parents were both staring out the window like something is wrong.
I wasn't able to confuse grace and faith with him. So I figured let's just not have that conversation now. We're going to deal with it at a later date and not at the current moment in time.
So passive, Mike.
Well, you know what? I wasn't
So
ready. I didn't rehearse
passive.
my speech. I just didn't know what to say. And yes, I had a curfew as well. So no, I could not
The
stay.
new Leann
no, we
would
could
have
not
never
drive
tolerated
We
that.
could not drive to the border of Pennsylvania and Ohio.
To be fair, that's not that far from where
Yeah, I
we live.
know.
Maybe like a half hour. All right, so okay. Okay,
So they go on this amazing date, and they eat dinner, and
Yes.
it's awkward. They dance in front of the old people.
And then at one point earlier in the movie, when he had requested to run lines with her, she said, under one condition, you can't fall in love with me. So then he tells her that he loves her, and she says, you promised you wouldn't. And she gets like a real like upset that he said that he loved her or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to comment before you get into that. Was it a common occurrence at your school that the two leads in the play would have a little bit of a dating fling after the play? There were 3 instances separately that I can think of where the male and female lead ended up being like a little bit of a thing, probably because of the time or the stage kiss that they had to do, but like they actually started catching feelings after all that time, and the stage kissing, it's just too much hormones.
As someone who had to do a stage kiss,
Woo!
Tell us.
my first kiss was a stage kiss.
Okay, so how does that go?
Here's what
you
happened.
put your hand like over their mouth?
No.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. They were like, I'm 16. I get cast as Chuck Cranston in Footloose. Chuck Cranston is the dirtbag boyfriend that beats up Ariel and makes out with her. Basically, he shows
beats her up and then makes out with her?
Well, no.
You said
Okay, all right.
beats her up and then makes out with
Okay,
her.
so
See, that's what the preacher dad was afraid of.
here's yeah.
He's gonna have expectations.
He's like, I've seen Footloose. I know what happens. All right, so real quick, the premise of Footloose for Chuck Cranston is he shows up. The first thing he does is he smokes a cigarette, makes out with this girl, and then sings a song about how promiscuous she is. And then,
God!
Yes, this was me.
We saw this play. Leann and I went to
good.
audience.
So out of character.
It's called that's why it was really funny. I remember like walking on stage with like a stage cigarette. Like you could
That must have been so fun for you.
You could take a drag on it and then you'd blow it and like actual smoke would come out. But I did it.
Olsen style.
The crowd laughed at me because most people that were there were from my school.
I believe I was in the audience
and knew me. Yeah, so I'm supposed to be this real hard, right? So I'm wearing a flannel shirt with the sleeves ripped off of it and a black wife beater and a bandana. All right, and I walk out and I'm smoking a cigarette, and people are laughing at me because because it's like so out of character for like me as a person.
Right.
And then she comes out and I kissed her. So we had to practice this. The way that they
I
practice
thought you had to put thumbs over their mouth.
You could, but we just
Like, you know how when you
That's
reach
awkward.
to grab someone's
Yeah.
face to kiss them?
Yeah.
But you put your two thumbs like in between, you press them against their lips.
Like, does this happen?
I heard
No,
that was
Leann,
the
like-
stage kiss.
Okay.
Legal to
It
kiss
could-
people
If
for
you're,
a
if you're
stage
going
kiss.
to grab their face,
It could
that's
be.
how you do it.
It could be, but what we did is we just actually kissed. So the way that
Gotcha.
we had to,
And then you started dating after that.
well, no, hold on. So
I thought you dated every girl you had
No.
to kiss in place.
No.
Well, that's the story that I was.
So
telling.
the
I literally thought that's how you started dating girls.
my first kiss was that they took me, this girl who was playing Ariel, and then the other lead of the play who's like the actual like the hero. They both kiss her. So they took me, another dude, and this girl into a classroom upstairs to like practice the kiss.
Wow.
So, and they're like, all right, your kiss comes first in the play, so you're up. So my first kiss was with two directors and another dude watching me kiss this girl.
Oh my gosh, that would be my worst nightmare to be some girl that random guys just get to smooch on.
Well, I mean, she
And she has
was
no
like,
control
you
of
press
it.
your
She's
lips
Well,
together.
hold on.
It's
in the
not.
play.
she was okay with it. It was
I know,
acting.
but still.
Anyway, the moral of the story is I didn't date her. So
Oh, okay. Well,
anyway,
well, well.
we made out every day for a couple months, and I never dated her. So
Shocker.
Impressive, honestly.
That takes
all
some
right.
skill.
So then the dad has another meeting with Mandy Moore, and he's like, you need to be fair to him before it gets worse, and we still don't know what they're talking about. Mandy Moore, they go to look at the stars. Mandy Moore says, are you trying to seduce me? Landon says, why? Are you seducible?
Oh, yeah.
thought that
And
was
then
funny.
she shakes
So-
her head
So
no.
he whips out a blanket. They're gonna look at the stars together, and she's like, "I don't think so." And he's like, "That's why I brought 2 blankets."
Oh my
and
gosh.
So they look at the stars, and he's like, "Hey, I had a star named after you. I bought you a gift that is in your interest. I'm going to pay it off. I
So,
bought a star and named it after you. Is this better than a sweater?"
so I had a question about that. First of all, no, that gift still sucks, honestly. But
No, Mike is so anti buying people like names for stars. Or stars for names or naming stars.
well, it's kind of a scam,
You're very anti
right.
that.
Like
It's
this.
the NFTs of the sky.
Yeah, it's the NFT of the sky. That's hilarious.
I love that.
I own this star. No, you don't actually own the star. It's just a link to the star
Oh my gosh.
that some other database has. That's a really good analogy,
Hey,
actually.
feel free to
I
use
didn't-
Hey,
that.
that's a
I didn't
soundbite.
think
That's
about
the
it.
soundbite for
That's
this
pretty
episode
good.
right
The
there.
NFT of the sky.
So he buys her an NFT. He buys her a Bored Ape star. No, so I guess here's my question for the group. Was this star registry thing predating this movie, or did some entrepreneurial business
I'm pretty
owners
sure
like
this is a thing that happened before this.
Oh,
Okay.
really? I thought
Yeah.
it became like a thing after the movie.
I think it maybe became popularized because of the movie, but I don't.
Every guy dating their girlfriend was like, "I'm going to do this,"
Yeah,
because Leann Cotta did
because
it.
there's so many stars that they're dirt cheap.
Yes,
they're like $5 or something. It's like,
here, babe.
but it sounds impressive. Like I made this star after you.
That's right, baby. You are Alpha Centauri 5855Q32, and you can only see it in Australia between 2 and 3 a.m. in Christmas.
So,
Wow. I feel so
have you
loved.
ever heard of? There's a thing you can do. You can buy a plot of land in Scotland, and it gives you the right to call yourself a lord or a lady.
Oh, yeah, I've
and you
seen
can
that,
buy.
yeah.
It's like a square, like one.
You would
square
totally
foot.
do that.
I'm going to. I've requested that my wife get me that as a gift, and she said no. What it is it's basically you can buy. I think they're like 1 foot by 1 foot plots of land, and it's on like a nature reserve, and you technically own it, but it's cared for by this thing or whatever. And there are larger plots you can buy, and like if you own it, you have the right to go there and camp on it or whatever whenever you want or whatever. And basically it helps like preserve the environment in Scotland, but you can legally call yourself a lord or a lady because you own land in Scotland.
Impressive.
That's hot.
Really? You want to be a lady of Scotland?
I do want to be a lady.
Lady
Scotland.
Leann.
Lady Leann of the lake.
See that? It just flows.
Anyways, so he brings these blankets and they watch the stars. She has so many interests. I get that she had this list.
It's a diverse character.
I'm surprised she doesn't have all these things checked off.
She
the box.
actually reminds me of
Well, how's she going to make a
people
medical
that I know in real
discovery
life.
as a high schooler?
That's See, that was silly. Like she should have had some realistic nature to it.
I mean, you got to dream big. Why make a bucket list that's
Okay,
realistic?
if she's dreaming big about a medical discovery, why is she spending 8 hours writing a?
You guys realize why
Maybe
she
one
has,
of her other things was to write a play,
you
and she'd already
guys,
accomplished
you guys
it.
realize why she has a bucket list in the in the first place,
Yeah,
right?
we're getting to it. Don't ruin it yet,
Okay,
Leann.
I'm
We
just-
know.
You
Leann
guys,
ru-
you guys
Leann
are just
ruined
making
it
a
for
big
me.
deal about this bucket list, and I'm like, guys,
Well,
there's a reason.
I know, and we're about to get to it.
Yeah, so they have the most amazing series of dates forever, and their dad gets mad. Her dad gets mad that she's pushing this.
He asked, what's your number one thing on the bucket list? She says, I want to get married in the church my parents got married in. We find out that Landon has made his own list of things that he wants to do. His mom has found
he was
it.
inspired.
Yes,
by
he was
her.
inspired
Yeah.
by his muse.
Now, see, during that scene, I actually thought that was his mom found. So originally, when she pulled out that paper, I was like, "Oh no, his mom is."
You
gonna-
thought it was the thing from school.
I did, yeah.
And she was like, look at this very real picture.
Exactly. Right. I was like, oh no. Then I thought like his mom was going to be like, Landon,
Yeah.
you
It's
need
a
to be
preacher's
careful.
daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Exactly. And
Quit taking pictures of her when her face and hair are black and white and her body's in color.
yeah, right. That's what I thought it was going to be. Like, cause he grabs all those things.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've made mistakes before where I've had stuff that my mom found in the laundry or
You
whatever.
photoshopped a picture of
Do you
Leann's face
tell?
onto
No.
Do tell.
I don't know. I just would like.
I photoshopped a picture of Leann's face onto Crystal Myers one time and sent that to you.
Oh yeah. Then she got mad.
I was so sensitive back then. I apologize.
It's all right.
I was a different person back then.
Yeah, well, we all both. One time I convinced Leann that she had blinded me in one of my eyes.
Okay, that was just the most savage thing
I'm sorry, Leann.
anyone has ever done.
I'm sorry.
You really took advantage of how
Leann
easily manipulatable I was.
It was a known fact that Leann was very gullible, and she accidentally poked me in the eye one time, and I thought, now's my chance to pretend that I'm blind.
Were we
and
out for ice cream?
We were either at Starbucks or Cold Stone.
Cold
They were right
Stone,
next to each
yeah.
other. And
We made our rounds.
yeah. And so for the rest of the night, I pretended, one, that I didn't need medical attention, even though I was blind, and that, and under the table, I
Continue
managed.
to eat your ice cream.
And under the table,
Blind.
I managed to text a bunch of people that were there using T9.
Wasn't Haley there?
Maybe. I know my friend Courtney was there, and then Kaylee might have been there. And then I was like, I'm pretending, go along with it. So everyone else was like, yeah, I'm like, I had someone like pretend like how many fingers are holding up, and I was just like, I don't know. It's all black. And then I was like, Leann, I don't know if we can be friends anymore because you blinded me in my eye.
Well, you were in all those plays, so you were a very good actor.
Amazing, apparently. All those practices of making out, they really paid off.
To be closing your eyes, and texting under the table.
It was letting one of my eyes pretend to like, be not moving while the other one was.
It was legitimately red.
Oh yeah,
So,
I mean, I really got poked.
Like it literally looked like you could be blind.
Yeah. And then you didn't speak to me for like a week or something.
Yeah, I was pissed off.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that word?
Sure.
I was legitimately so mad.
Can you say it? Can you say it on PBS?
Yes.
All right, sorry to get off track. So they're out on a date, and he suggests doing Mandy Moore is like, I can't do that, and he's like, why? And here's the big reveal: she's got leukemia, and she has stopped responding to treatments. And this is why she has this bucket list, and why the dad's like, you need to tell him, and all this stuff, and why she's like, I'm never going to be able to do the number one thing on my bucket list, and why she should have had short hair for the play.
It should have been curled. If it wasn't going to be short, it needed to be curled thoroughly.
So Leann spoiled this for me before we watched the movie. So she's like, yeah, this movie's really sad. She gets cancer. I was like, it was a little bit of a spoiler. Yeah, you did.
I said it was really sad, and you're gonna cry a bunch of times.
And she gets cancer.
That was accurate because you cry like a little baby girl.
Me too.
This
no, but like streaming. The
last quarter of this movie is a sad march into oblivion because they just keep cranking up the notch. But I just want to critique this for a little bit.
It gets sadder and sadder.
I felt like this was a little stilted. Like it really changed tones at this moment. And a lot of times movies will have like foreshadowing, so you'll be like, oh, this makes total sense. And I guess there was some foreshadowing with like her parents and or her dad, and what he said of like,
and how she's never going to be able to finish her list, and
exactly. But I just feel like there wasn't a ton of other foreshadowing. And if she stopped taking treatment, how does she still have all her hair? Was that a wig?
The only thing that made her look
I think that's
sick.
why if she's not getting treatment anymore, then the I don't. Let's preface this by saying none of us are medical professionals. I don't know how any of this stuff works, but that was my thought: is that because she wasn't getting treatment anymore, then that's why she had hair.
Yeah, I guess like,
or maybe it's a wig. Maybe it's a wig. I don't know.
If you're going through those treatments, I thought like you would stop treatment and to be able to get hair down, past shoulder length, that's like at least a year of growing, right, Leann?
Also, the only thing that really made you possibly think that there was something wrong with her or that she was sick was how pale she was. And her lips, if you notice in the whole movie, she never wore lipstick or lip gloss.
That.
She always had like pale lips and pale skin, which I think and
that's why people
from the beginning
thought
made
that
her
black
look
and white
sick.
picture of her was a real picture.
Because it was a school
She's
for
always
the colorblind.
Pale,
It was like Shutter Island. It was actually a school for the colorblind all along. All right. So, anyways, if I can critique that, I think it was like a big reveal, I guess. Obviously, like the whole movie hinges on that. But I just wasn't super satisfied with like the, all those. It hits you like a ton of bricks, I guess. Yeah. And a lot of things didn't quite make sense in context. But then they did. But I don't know. It just felt awkward.
So then Dare You to Move by Switchfoot plays.
Mm-hmm.
Dare you to move.
They actually have 4 songs in this whole movie.
Yeah,
I only noticed this one. What was the other one?
Dare You to Move. So that was, they also had Learning to Breathe.
Yeah.
They also had You, which was from their first album. Caleb fact checked me on that. And then it also...
Are you going to do an episode on Switchfoot?
Yeah, eventually.
Jared hates Switchfoot.
We will do it. Listen, we got to save that for the Switchfoot episode. I will tell the story.
They are literally ground.
I will tell the story on the Switchfoot episode of why I don't like them. It is tangentially related to Mike's friend Drew.
Oh.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, that's a good teaser.
This sounds juicy.
So, and then the last song that they had was during the wedding scene, where they do a reprise of the Mandy Moore song that she sang for the play.
All right. So let's see. Landon drives to his dad's house, and this is when he's like, "You're a doctor. I need you to look at her charts and help her." And he's like, "I'm a cardiologist." That's when you find out that he's
Okay,
a
first
heart
of all,
doctor.
why couldn't he just call his dad? He literally
Well,
drove across state lines or wherever he was going.
Well, it's more dramatic if he just drives there. Well,
he talks to his dad for
what I
2
would say
seconds.
is-
His dad says, "I'm a cardiologist. I need to look into her, you know, whatever." And then he just storms off.
I think what it was is that he was driving the car to like clear his mind. And then while he was out, he maybe thought like, I'll go see my dad, maybe he can help. And like, that's what I think is what it was, is that it wasn't that he didn't intend to drive to see his dad. He was driving around and then ended up there.
I see.
Could be. I just, with that car, I figured he can make some serious time.
Oh,
so he can go anywhere he wants in 60
was it,
seconds or
Mustang?
less. Camaro.
Yeah. So we find out that Landon has been leaving flowers on Mandy Moore's porch for days. It's just like covered in flowers.
And he told his dad, he told her dad, the pastor, "I'm not going anywhere." Like he kept dropping off flowers.
And that's when he starts.
Yeah.
He starts his project, like
Yes.
in the yard.
So
which I found that very
But
annoying.
that's
as well.
also when the dad realizes, like, okay, this kid really loves my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You could see it in his face in that scene.
So this line I thought was pretty funny. Just like, I think Mandy Moore's character just kills it. Landon, like, she comes out to talk to Landon, and Landon's like, "Are you scared?" And she says, "To death."
I don't remember that scene.
Oh yeah, she's funny. She's got like gallows humor. He's like, "Are you scared?" She said, "To death." And he's like, "Stop it."
Really?
Oh yeah.
I've literally seen this movie a million times.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Never
I
realized
remembered that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure how to take it.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was,
Yeah, her sense of humor is a little strange. Not gonna lie.
Landon asked his mom to teach him how to dance because he's like, Mandy Moore wants to dance with him. He's like, "I'm going to learn how to dance." Then they dance on a porch or a balcony outside. Let's see. The friend that he had punched comes and he apologizes, and they help him move Mandy Moore's telescope that Landon had been. He's like in the process of building her a new one. She's like, I want to build a bigger one. He's like, she's too sick to do it now, so he's gonna do it.
So here's what I thought was happening in that scene when he gets together with him. I thought he was going to sell his Camaro to help pay for her treatment or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Because that was
That's
like,
interesting.
because they established
Yeah.
a couple times that he was really into cars. He's like working on cars in his garage. He's pretty handy. He has obviously a sick car.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I thought he was going to have to sell his car to like set her up with something, and that's why
Yeah.
they're meeting.
No,
when he's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
That would have been a real
Huh.
Christian sacrifice.
Yeah, it would have.
Like,
and
he
it
should
would
have
have
been
shown
the
these.
screenwriter.
That would have really
I'm just saying. They
They
added
should have
to the
given
theme of the
refilm
movie.
it, give him a screenwriting credit.
Okay, who am I going to cast as Mandy Moore in the 2021 sequel?
Okay, I don't know any actresses that are like 18 off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Zendaya, I guess, because
Wow, look at you dropping actors.
So you're,
We
you're
gotta
just
get
gonna
it.
do you're just gonna do Zendaya and Tom Holland.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
totally original. Look, if it's not broke,
What
don't
about
fix
Zendaya? Well, Zac Efron. I was gonna say gonna do the Greatest Showman pairing, but
Yeah.
he's too old to.
He's like 40 now.
Well, I think he's like in his mid 30s.
He's
Actually,
35.
only a little bit older than
He's
us.
like 35.
He's only a little bit older than
He was always been like a few years.
I could probably cast Emma Stone and Andrew
Older than
Garfield if we're going in the Spider-Verse, I guess, because both of them are, theater trained.
or maybe we make them college students instead of high school.
What about
Yeah, that could
Elizabeth
be.
Olsen?
I don't think she can
She's
play
like
a high
30.
schooler
She's like 30.
She's actually younger than me.
Okay.
by a year,
But-
but she's
By
not
a
going to
year.
play an 18-year-old. Oh, so
She
here's
could.
something
Right.
interesting.
So
She could. She looks so young.
So Leann, just for reference, we're 31, and if she's a year younger than you, then she's like 30,
yeah.
which is what I said.
Which is too old to play an 18-year-old. I'm sorry.
Mike, people do
Hey,
it all the time.
The girl that played Moaning Myrtle in Harry Potter
Mike,
was
what
40.
about those two girls in Pen 15?
Well, that's the joke.
on purpose.
That's the joke,
yeah.
though.
But they legit look like 15-year-olds. Like legit.
I've only seen one episode of it, but I was like,
No,
they're
they
very
do,
clear.
though.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't think so.
They're like so much
Acne.
bigger than everybody else. They're like,
Yeah, that's
Flat
right.
chested.
The joke,
Yeah.
the joke is that they're huge and everyone else is a child. Like they're a full.
It
well,
is.
like they're adults. Like they're not huge, but they're big compared to kids. Compared to middle schoolers, they're big.
Here's
An
where
adult compared to a middle schooler is large.
Here's where we're going with this. I'm going to be recast as the director, but I also want to point out that Mandy Moore was 17, and
Really?
what's his name? Shane West.
Yeah.
He was 23.
Gross.
So
Really?
very,
Underage kissing going on.
I think that's more like frowned upon than like
illegal.
Yeah.
Sure, yes, but
And it's
creepy nonetheless.
I'm sure she had to get written consent.
That's why I'm only gonna change the casting. That's all.
So the next thing, so they're building the telescope, and she collapses, takes her to the hospital. Landon is like sleeping in the hospital, like in the hospital room with her, won't leave her side. This point, I don't think ever gets paid off. I don't remember, but Landon's ex comes by and he's like, "Here's these pictures I took of you guys at the play," and then they like never look at them.
And then she kisses him on the cheek.
Yeah, and then I think
I can see why she chose you. Or
I guess maybe it's
something.
like a closure, like she's given up on, she's moved on, and so I don't know.
But yeah, that was a poor plot line. I wonder if some stuff was left on the cutting room floor
that
there.
And the kid that jumped, I think they could have either cleaned him up or whatever. So Mandy Moore gives him a book that is
It's like a scrapbook.
It's a book that her mother had that is like of her
quotes.
favorite quotes and Bible verses or whatever. And he reads 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, etc. You've been to weddings, you know. And then she says something like, maybe God has a bigger plan and that he's her angel. Landon's father, he comes through. He's going to pay for Mandy Moore to have private care at home. So,
Do you know how much that costs?
Well, it's enough for a cardiologist.
It's like
apparently.
$10,000 a week.
I'm sure it's very expensive. But so yeah, his dad comes through. His dad has officially bought his son's love. He's found a way to pay for it.
That was his in right there.
He's found a way to pay for it.
When we were watching this, I just told Leann that, you can just throw my body in the trash and not worry about this at-home
Danny
care
DeVito
stuff.
it.
Yeah. Just, that would be nice, but I'm all right.
Yeah.
Just,
And you know what I said, Jared?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this movie totally changes. So the first part is like this teen action drama.
Yeah.
The middle part is this budding love story.
Yeah.
And this part from then on is basically just as sad as you can possibly make it. Right?
Well, I think there are
it's
parts
just
of it
hit
that are
after
happy.
hit after hit.
I think there are parts of it that are happy.
Yeah, it is happy.
Happy
but
adjacent, at least.
It's definitely changes its tone, right?
So
It goes
they get her
from
home.
chick flick to really sad really fast.
Oh yeah, like from like a
I feel like the
a
whole
chick flick to like
first half is very chick flicky.
yeah.
Well, it feels futile.
Yeah.
And I never actually once thought she was going to make it, right? That's how kind of futile this is.
Because your wife told you that she dies of cancer immediately.
Shut up.
That too. But sometimes it can be like, oh, God's miracle is going to save her. And I'm glad they didn't go in that direction. But it just really felt hopeless and helpless by the fact that, every single loose thread was tied up and, everyone was paying their regards, I guess, and especially this next scene, which is going to be the wedding scene, right?
So, well, not quite yet. So Landon and Mandy Moore's dad finished the telescope, and earlier in the movie, she had talked about wanting to see a particular comet. Okay, they take out the big telescope to the cemetery. They look at it. They get to see the comet that she wanted to see, and then he proposes to her. And they're going to get married in the church that her parents got married in, and the dad's going to be the preacher, and Landon's dad is his best man, and all of Landon's old friends are in the crowd. The one he punched, and the one that wanted to listen to Missy Elliott, and he said, "Nah, man, jars of clay or nothing." And then there's the voiceover by Landon, and it says that he and Mandy Moore were married for the summer. and then she died and went to heaven. And then it cuts to 4 years later, and he has come home to visit his father-in-law, and he has been accepted to medical school.
He's real preppy now.
Yes.
They really tried hard to establish him as like
Was he driving
no
a
longer a
Bronco?
punk.
Did he also go from the Camaro to a Bronco?
I don't remember. What
I
he
don't
was
think
driving.
he had the Camaro.
I don't remember. So he gives his father-in-law the book that Mandy Moore had given him that was her mother's, and that is the father-in-law's, wife.
Yeah.
And gives it to him, and then he says that Mandy Moore saved him and taught him about hope and about faith, and then that's the end of the movie.
Yep.
So,
And we cried once more
Yeah.
for the final time.
I didn't cry this time that I watched it, but the first time when I watched it alone, I cried. I think the part where he's like, she died after the summer or whatever. But I would say, like I said, parts of it are happy. I will contend that is like, for the story that they have made, that's about as happy as an ending as you can get for it. Like they got married, they were able to live for the summer, and this is what I wanted to bring up. I'm going to discuss something now that is perhaps PG-13 in tone.
Ooh.
I'm not just to give a warning for whatever reason, if you didn't want your
Okay.
so
Is this going to be about what I think it's going to be about?
possibly
Yeah.
but what I legitimately think it's a worthwhile talking point, because I know that several people that felt this way, like, at least from my recollection, like being in youth group growing up, it was like, I was like, what if I die a virgin? Like, that's like this, like the worst thing that could happen to you is that you die and don't get to have sex. Like that. That's what I would like. That was like
Maybe the guys felt that way.
I don't know. I know of several people at Grove City that have had
Well,
that.
that's why they
thing.
got married so young.
Yeah, well,
they don't even care who you
Yeah,
are.
they-
They're just like, hey, you made eye contact with me. Let's get married.
But what I was thinking was like,
It's gross.
Is that any part of Mandy Moore's character? She's like, I know I'm gonna die.
I know that was on her bucket
It was
list.
on the bucket list. Yeah.
Well, was it really?
I want
Well,
to
it
sleep
wasn't
with a
official.
man
It has
before
to
I
be.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had to have been. The marriage thing was number one up on there.
Yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
was number 2. It was get married and then lose
Oh,
my
was that
virginity.
number 2? Did she
no, it's
disclose
not.
that?
I was joking. It's
Oh.
not. She doesn't literally say that. I was joking that was number 2 was that list. But like, I remember talking to people in high school about and it was like a fear that they had that, like, what if I die before I get to have sex? Like, that was like, I was like, yeah, I'd go
I love how awkward Mike looks right now.
Yeah, it was like
so rich.
It's like, you get to go to heaven, but you didn't get to have sex before you left.
It's the one.
like that was like literally thinking about it, like that was my
Just
concern.
pure torture.
That was my concern. I was like, well, yeah, I guess I'd be in heaven, but like,
It's
was
the
it
one
really
thing
worth
I never
it?
got
Was
to
it worth
experience
it?
all that life had to offer.
It's the one thing that you can do on Earth, but not in heaven.
Yeah, and it was the thing that everyone always wanted. Like, can you have sex in heaven? Right. What if I die before I get to have sex? Can I do it in heaven?
I don't know. Depending on your view of marriage in heaven, I don't know that there will be much
Where does it say in the
reproduction.
Bible that there's none of the hanky panky going on up there?
I don't know that I'm
how do we know anything?
Ask
I don't
the
know that I'm
biblical and
qualified.
religious
Ask Kyle.
scholar.
Get Kyle in here.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm qualified to speak on this, but I don't know.
My mom tried to tell my brother Neil that she wasn't going to be his mom in heaven, and he bawled his eyes out. She told him that when he was 5. He was 5. He asked about heaven, and my mom's like, I'm not going to be your mommy in heaven.
Wow, that's brutal.
Brutal.
Yeah. And
Couldn't
like,
fit
how did
into
she
this
know
movie.
that? Like,
Look, I'm not going to be your husband in heaven.
how do you know that?
I don't know. That's the question. Yeah, I feel like there was an element of that where there's a lot of emphasis on, like, it probably was what everybody was thinking.
Mike's like, awkward.
Was that ever a fear that you had?
so awkward.
That I was going to die a virgin?
Yes.
Well, sure. I mean,
Leann was just
You literally married married your high school sweetheart, babe.
But listen.
Yeah, but what if you died in a car crash?
Yeah, no, here's what I mean. I just, was pretty sure the rapture was going to happen in 2002.
That was the other thing. What if you got
Your girlfriend was
got
secured.
raptured?
Your girlfriend was secured at 15.
Yeah, but
all
that's
these
the
other kids in high school were like
But Leann,
18, 19,
But
going
Leann,
into college,
there's
never had a girlfriend yet, were afraid they
but
were going to get
Leann, there's an
married.
ever-present threat of being raptured at any time. And what if you didn't get to have sex before you got raptured?
Maybe it's a guy thing.
Girls don't think like that?
I didn't think like that.
Uh-huh.
All right, well.
I lived life in the moment, Jared. I never thought about what if I die right this second, or what if the rapture happens right this second.
All I'm saying is that I think that had to be on her mind at some point, and that was probably on the bucket list.
I kept thinking, when is this Mike kid gonna marry me? Because we've been dating 9 years, and I'm getting a little anxious.
Yeah, so are all of your friends.
9 years, dude.
Yeah, well, listen.
9 years.
Listen, okay, let's be practical about this. I know it's romantic,
Think about
but
that.
there is value, I think, in doing a little preparation work before you just jump into a marriage, and you don't have a job or a career or any money.
You're financially stable.
Yeah, and it makes things more challenging, right?
Do you know how many bags of money he had under his mattress that were like literally from his grandma?
Look,
well, I think we're getting,
happy birthday, Mike.
I think we're getting a little bit off
Merry
topic
Christmas,
here.
Any holiday, stick
I just
in the
gotta
bag
get this off
under the
my chest.
mattress.
Okay. I gotta get this off my chest. What did Landon do for money? What was his plan? Did he work?
Child support. He was under 18.
His plan was,
I'm sure his dad had
she's
to give
gonna
child
die
support.
soon.
What if she lasted another year? Because sometimes that happens.
I think
they're
his
just
mom
gonna
was
live
wealthy,
in their.
though, too.
Where did they live? Right? Did they live in their parents' basement?
I think they lived.
Is that worse than death?
I think she had in-home care, and they had to live at that house.
At that house.
Yeah.
So they just Landon, his mom.
Well, no, the mom had her own house. She wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah, like they just got married. Where is this alone time?
Where do they
Maybe
live?
the summer of love before she dies.
Maybe the dad left. Maybe he was like, I'm going to go out for an hour or something. I don't know.
They stayed in a hotel for 3 months?
I don't know.
I don't know. They said it was the whole summer. I don't know. Like, I get it was a romantic gesture, but practically, what the heck is he thinking? Because there's a very non-zero chance that she was going to live for, like, longer than 30 days.
And if they do, then they get to have many more happy years together.
Yeah, well, guess what? How are they going to provide for themselves? Are they going to make mommy and daddy make macky and cheesy? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
One of the plots of the movie is that he decides that he wants to take school seriously and that he's getting better and he wants to go to college, and he ends up going to medical school.
Well, he gets accepted to medical school.
Yeah.
And so my prediction was, he said,
he drops out of med school.
I got accepted to medical school, but I was going to take care of Mandy or whatever. Like, I thought she would be maybe in rehab or something, or maybe he was going to be like a cause, like in her name or something.
What I thought was that he was going to come back and be like, I got accepted to medical school, but I'm going to do a year in the Peace Corps first because that's what she wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh, he's going to tell the dad, like, I got into med school, and he's going to go make a medical discovery, which is what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But before he does that, he's going to do a year in the Peace Corps. But we could have wrote this movie. I
was just along for the ride. I didn't think about any of that stuff.
I'm ready to write this sequel. So,
dude.
What? Now you
have walk to forget.
Okay, yeah. A walk to forget.
A run to forget.
Of the most emotional, unstable, mentally disturbed 18-year-old who's a widower, has no money.
But in this one, they have dementia because it's a walk to forget.
A walk to forget.
Oh my God.
It starts backwards. It's like
Memento.
So it starts from them kissing, and then it ends the movie with like.
Well, that's kind of like the Notebook.
Singing each other.
That's kind of like the Notebook.
Kind of.
She's, well,
Yeah. We don't want to spoil that. For those
spoiler for the Notebook.
So let's get into the review phase of this.
Right,
we're officially as long as the movie.
Yeah.
So that's good.
We'll go
Hopefully
through
you
this
listen to us.
I thought our goal was to not go as long as the movie.
We're working on it.
The length of the movie.
I thought I had a legitimate point that I wanted to bring up.
It was a good point.
I thought it was legitimate, though I did not personally experience
listeners,
it.
tell me if you ever experienced that. Please make me not feel like a weirdo.
You're not a weirdo, Jared.
All right, so
Aww.
so what I want to, I've got some reviews here from IMDb. The way that we usually do them is I go into IMDb and I sort by the oldest reviews. So like when the movie first came out, these reviews are both from 2002 in January. This one, it says 10 out of 10. And the title is The Movie Britney Spears Wished That She Had Made. It says, as a male, I didn't know if I'd enjoy this movie, but it really was a great film. As far as some saying this film is overtly Christian at times, I think they need to stop being so PC. The Christian messages and themes are things that everyone can apply to their lives, regardless of their beliefs. Mandy Moore gives a great performance and has a future in acting. One question: what time period is this movie supposed to be set in? I've heard maybe the 50s, but then why is Jars of Clay playing on the radio? Very strange.
I thought it was set in the 90s. I thought that was clear.
I believe it was set in the present day, but from what I read, the book is based in the 50s and they updated it. So I think maybe that's why some of the things were kind of...
Yeah, that's how the Notebook was,
I could
too.
understand why that person would be like, what year is this? But
he did have a cool Walkman, I will admit. Although those things
he wore the headphones wrong.
Yeah, well, those things didn't work very well on buses.
Oh, no.
The CDs would skip.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
Well, we had the shockproof one.
Yeah. His dad was a cardiologist. So.
Yeah, he definitely had shockproof. So the next one, this one was a mixed review. This one says, guy meets girl, corniness ensues. Altogether an average movie. If you like Shane West, Mandy Moore, sappy love stories, Switchfoot, bad acting, or any combination thereof, or you are a girl aged 7 to 14, I would recommend watching this movie. Otherwise, stay away. Another thing to be noted, this is a wholesome movie, especially for Christians. The pity is that it isn't a wholesome movie and that it has to be this bad. This is a 4 out of 10.
Interesting. So I wanted to read a review, if you're okay with that.
Yes. And then I have one from, do you want to do the Ebert and Roger Ebert one first?
Okay, yeah, do that one.
So this is from Roger Ebert. This is his review from when it came out. He said, this is part of the review, not the whole thing. He says, yes, this movie is corny at times, but corniness is all right. I forgave the movie its broad emotion because it earned it. It lays things on a little thick at the end, but by then it had paid its way. They go wrong only 3 times. 1, the subplot involving the paralyzed boy should have either been dealt with or dropped.
So they agree with you. Yeah.
2, it is tiresome to make the black teenager use brother in every sentence as if he is not their peer but was ported in from another world. The person he's talking about is the person who was trying to play Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
3, there's a writer or something that this name proved more than 80 years ago in a famous experiment. When an audience sees an impassive close-up, it supplies the necessary emotion from the context. It can be fatal for an actor to try to act in a close-up, and Landon's little smile at the end is a distraction at a crucial moment. So apparently he didn't like the last scene of the movie where he zooms in and he kind of smirks to himself. And then he said, those are small flaws in a touching movie. The performances by Moore and West were so quietly convincing that we were reminded that many teenagers in movies seem to think like 30-year-old stand-up comics. That Jamie and Landon base their romance on values and respect will blindside some viewers of the film, especially since the first 5 or 10 minutes seem to be headed down a familiar teenage movie trail. A Walk to Remember is a small treasure. And he gave it 3 stars. I think Roger Ebert grades out of 4 stars, so pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's a very well-written review.
Well, that's why he's the best.
He is he
knows what he's doing.
Much better than Walk to Remember fan 1989 or whoever wrote some of those. So this was my only interaction actually with this movie, and the only reason I've heard of it, because I used to get Plugged In magazine, and so did the church. And so that was always hanging around at the church. They got those Christian movie subscriptions. If you're not familiar with Plugged In, it's basically like a review from a Christian perspective. And so they have some cool categories. I mean, cool as in interesting. So, for example, they talk about the specific content. So there's a section for crude or profane language, and they count the number of swears. So 24 profanities, half of them S words. So like I thought that was nice that someone sat there with a little note card and sat counting
spit.
12 Schweitz.
Yeah. So it also says so it goes through a lot of those elements. Like what parents might find potentially objectionable. And I think they're kind of funny to read, some of them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because they really take a broad sieve to talk through those. So here's the category: violent content. Early on, Landon and company engage in dangerous horseplay. I think that's a funny line.
Yeah.
It says, a boy is injured after jumping from a great height. Landon is pursued by police and crashes his car. Defending Jamie's honor, Landon punches one of his friends in the face. Drug and alcohol content. Teens drink beer at a secluded hangout. Landon and a buddy mimic smoking marijuana as part of their secret handshake.
I forgot about their handshake. Yeah, that was funny.
I guess that was marijuana. I thought it could have been a cigarette, just old school style.
Yeah.
You know,
a French hold or whatever.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. I get that, but that's why I like these reviews, because it's kind of interesting. So I'm going to read the conclusion kind of briefly. Mm-hmm. A Walk to Remember is an antidote to Hollywood's raging cynicism about Christian values. For teens, on-screen coolness and validation is often achieved by disengagement from authority, moral values, and or spiritual faith. Jamie Sullivan achieves it while holding on to her faith, her father, and her values. She never compromises, never swerves, and in the process, she exerts great influence on everyone around her. And I'm going to be justified here. Mandy Moore was excited to play such a strong teen role. She told Plugged In, quote, I remember someone telling me, every role you choose to take on, when you are done with that film and done with that experience, you're going to walk away with a piece of that character embedded within your soul for a lifetime. What better person to play than this angelic, straightforward, honest, intelligent person? Playing Jamie has actually brought me closer to God and inspired me to go to church more. It was really nice to take that character away with me. It's so nice to be a part of a teen movie that's so positive. There are so many other movies for teens to see that are about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They're all about losing your virginity before prom night. Jamie shows people the other way to go about
before
things.
the rapture.
Or before the rapture. Right. So here's the final sentence. There are things to disapprove of in Walk to Remember, including coarse language first and foremost. But while Christianity is usually presented as an illness one must recover from, A Walk to Remember vehemently disagrees with that diagnosis. So they don't give it ratings because they don't want them to see as like endorsements. It's just more of like a summary of like from a Christian perspective, just so a parent can know
it
kind of what
pretty
elements
positive,
are in there.
Though,
it does seem positive.
Yeah.
There's more in here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about the spiritual elements in this, and they have a line by line bullet point list of all the sexual content, like the line, she'll put it on a brother like a Pop-Tart. I forgot that was a line.
I should have written that one in my notes.
Which is hilarious. Yeah. But again, I'm just imagining someone just writing.
Oh, and then remember his one friend who was like humping the.
That's actually the next sentence. It says later he makes suggestive sexual motions with his body while mocking a scene from the school play. So booty shaking.
I lost it.
Booty shaking comes up more than once. Jamie silences her critics, however, with her unimpeachable purity. So that's, I feel like a solid review. Yeah.
She was totally okay with kissing Landon, though.
She was.
Like, they probably kissed 5-6 times.
It was a holy kiss.
It was a holy kiss. And an unforeseen kiss, as we established.
Well, some were unforeseen. Some were sloppy wet. She mixed it up.
Fine, a holy kiss.
It was a joke. That's my definition. I don't believe that it was a joke.
Okay.
Right. So, in terms of reviews, what my review is, it was better than I thought. The cinematography, I think, was really good. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of scenes of them out on the bayous, just kind of hanging out on the porch, and I feel like it really captures this romanticized feeling of being a teenager and staying up till 4 a.m., right? I feel like it captured a lot of that, which I think a lot of people can relate to, because that's not something that you do as a normal functioning adult, but as a teenager, you just, I stayed up till 5 a.m. for no reason. That's kind of like captured that vibe. I think the acting was decent. I don't think it was the worst. I think that the characters were well written. Landon is, I mentioned this before, his scowl, he kind of looks like Henry Rollins, who's the punk singer from Black Flag.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting to me that his name reveal was Landon Rollins Carter. I don't know if that was an intentional reference or not, but I just feel like
no, there's no way.
Yeah, I just feel like where, Kristen Stewart just kind of had a awkward look on her face, I feel like Landon had the same or more awkward just because he had to be a bad boy and he just had eyebrows always furled. And it annoyed me towards the end, even when he was being a good boy, I guess, or a good Christian. I don't know if he technically actually accepted Christ, but
they what I'll say is they don't explicitly say that, but the thing that he says at the end is something about Mandy Moore saved him. He taught him about hope and about faith. Mm-hmm. My interpretation of that line is that he became a Christian because of his relationship with her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that he's continuing on with that relationship with God now that she's gone.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think it was good. I think we talked about some of those plot points that I found less compelling, but I did think it was really sad. All the hospital scenes of just, it really felt like you could sympathize with him that she's slipping away, right? They really kind of had that youthful desperation of like, I got to get away from this. I'm going to do all I can. Yeah. And really, you're just fighting that losing battle, and that rock is falling back on you. So I would rate it as a good movie.
So I rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 jars of clay mix CDs.
Okay.
Where is it at?
I would say a 4.
A 4?
It's I can see why it was popular.
Yeah.
I think that it's much better than a typical Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
There were some elements that were predictable.
Uh-huh.
But given the genre and given the target audience, I think that I really wasn't in the target audience, and I still was able to say, like, okay, like, I see why people like this. It wasn't shockingly bad or shockingly good.
Another thing that I'll say about this is that I think this movie, even though it didn't intend to be, is maybe more explicitly Christian than Extreme Days.
Probably.
Which has about 30 seconds worth of, like, a brief discussion about that. What I would say is, for me, this movie, if I'm viewing it as Christian media, where would I rate it in relation to other things? I think it's a 5. Even though it is not explicitly a Christian movie, it has those themes in it. And if we're relating it to the quality of other things that we have rated, it is clearly heads and shoulders above them.
I would agree with that.
If I'm rating them if I'm rating it in terms of like a general movie, like compared to, any other, rom-com or, other movie that's out there, then it's probably more like maybe a 3 or something for me. But as Christian media, I think this is definitely on the higher end of quality that you could have in that space. Leann, as our expert, give us your review and any final points you might have to make. So
my review is not going to sound like
go ahead, whatever you want to say.
As thought out as your.
I made mine up just now.
So it's always funny to me when the main character in a movie is actually the least good at acting in comparison to everyone else. And I thought like all the roles that everyone played in the movie were excellent. I thought their acting was like they channeled the emotion, the feelings. They acted really well. And Mandy, because I guess she was a singer before she was an actress, I just couldn't get into the whole like, thank you. Like the little like I don't know.
I thought she was great.
Like I'm sure that was part of her character, but the way she delivered a lot of her lines was like not very compelling to me. But as far as music choice, excellent. I thought it flowed really well, like very storytelling. Yeah. Like I think it,
good job,
and like Mike said at the beginning, you think, oh, this is, your average, chick flick, whatever you want to call it. But then it really starts to develop more of like a serious undertone. Yeah. And that was surprising to me, but I really liked it. I don't typically like sad movies. But that is one movie that always makes me cry every time because I can relate to those feelings, young love. You know,
Yeah.
thinking
that's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, very near and dear to my heart.
On a scale of 1 to 5 Jars of Clay mixtapes,
I was never a Jars of Clay fan. I was a Switchfoot fan. We talked about this in the other episode that I was on.
Well, usually we just do a fake rating system of something related to it. So we can do from 1 to 5 wrecked Camaros. What do you want to rate this?
Oh, 1 to 5?
Yeah, 1 to 5.
Honestly, I want to give it a 4.
4?
Yeah.
Great. So we got 2 4s
We are
and a
aligned.
5. We're doing this is the highest rated media that we've ever had in terms of Christian related. Well, movies anyway. I think we've had music that was higher or whatever.
It was good.
No.
I was pleasantly surprised, honestly, given I expected something to be somewhat laughable. I found that Mandy's character, she really took things in stride, maybe a little too much. I would have liked to have seen her, like, she really is super strong in this.
Yeah.
It really was shocking to me with that reveal.
Yeah.
She shows a little hint of sadness there, but otherwise she's somewhat unfazed through the rest of it, which was, like, confusing.
I think she had kind of already resigned herself to her fate before she met Landon. You know, like, she met him and like that made it harder for her. That's why she's like, don't fall in love with me.
Yeah,
because
she was getting treatments for a long time.
Yeah.
Like she'd already made her peace with God at that point, but it became harder for her when she had feelings for Landon or whatever.
Yeah, I get that. It just felt like maybe she was a little flat in terms of like, we felt bad for Landon more than we did for Mandy sometimes because, you know, Landon is this 18-year-old widower now, right? That
well, your attitude, I think, plays a big role in that too. Like her attitude was so positive the whole time, you almost didn't want to feel bad for her because she already knew her destiny.
Yeah,
I just wanted to see some cracks, I guess.
Yeah,
like that she was trying to keep it together, but she was really a mess.
I think you see that in the film where they're walking down that alleyway and she reveals it to him because she's like, "Well, we can go somewhere else." He's like, "I can't do anything. I'm you know."
And that was, I guess that's pretty good. It's just, it seemed like she was insanely like superhuman plot armor strong against it. Yeah. Whereas I would have liked to maybe have seen, again, in the reboot featuring Zendaya and Tom Holland.
You guys.
In the reboot, what's going to happen is like there's going to be moments where she's all good and then she just like freaks out and like has to leave for like no reason. You can't figure out, she's obviously dealing with something, but she can't like process it properly, or you know, I don't know. She realizes that like you see her using these hobbies as escapes, rather than like I'm trying to fill my bucket list. It's like I genuinely enjoy this because it's a distraction from thinking about my own mortality. You know, I don't know. That's my pitch. But otherwise, it was great. Nice pick, Jared.
Thank you.
I think it was Jared picked this one.
Very nice.
So let's wrap this up.
Yeah. So let's get our socials in here. First of all, Leann, anything you'd like to plug as our guest?
Oh my gosh.
You don't have to. You're just giving you
plugging is just not.
So pass.
No, because anyone that follows me judges me anyways.
All right.
I've had to block so many people.
Leann, I'll plug something for Leann. Leann wants to plug anyone with the last name Olsen. Any Olsen
that's
sister.
A given.
Yeah,
that's a given.
Anything any Olsen sisters have done or will ever do, she wants to plug that.
That's a fair plug.
Please mistake me for an Olsen.
Wind River, New York Minute,
yes,
London Calling. What's the London one called? What's the one that we go to London called?
Oh, Winning London.
Winning London. Yeah, any of those. And all right, Mike, hit us with our socials.
You can find us on Twitter at YG Reunion Tour. You can hit us on Instagram at Youth Group Reunion Tour. You can send us a wonderful email, a fan mail, telling us what you like, what you don't like, if it's funny
or why we're
interesting, or why we're wrong.
Or why you never want to hear Leann on the podcast again.
Okay, let's not be negative. This is still...
I'm used to it.
So where would they send those emails?
I said the S word too many times.
Technically.
I said,
those
and then the other S word.
Those may be edited at Youth Group
and
Reunion
then the
Tour.
Word.
So go ahead. What's the email address?
Youth Group Reunion Tour at gmail.com, and our website y.at/emoji cool, emoji church, emoji raised hands, emoji guitar.
All right, and until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.